Ladies and gentlemen, many of you might remember Thomas Lane. He was one of the officers that participated in the death of George Floyd. He had a separate trial because his attorney was able to work out a deal as long as he pled guilty. And that's what he did. He pled guilty. So the former police officer, Thomas Lane, sentenced to 30 months in George Floyd's death. So that's just, what, 2.5 years? That's all that is. So Thomas Lane was sentenced to 30 months in prison Thursday for violating George Floyd's civil rights. The ruling comes more than 2 years after the death of Floyd, when his upper airway was compressed, after hands were bound and his knees were pressed on. And of course, Derek Chauvin was on his neck, preventing him from breathing. Lane was one of the four officers that day in connection to the murder of 46-year-old George Floyd. And he was convicted in February for depriving Floyd medical care and during the arrest. I mean, all this whole thing should have never happened. And y'all, what happened to the $20 counterfeit bill they claimed they got from Floyd? You notice that has not come up in any of these trials. It didn't come up with Derek Chauvin. It didn't come up with Thomas Lane. Okay, that $20 bill is not coming up in any of these court cases. Don't even They won't even talk about the $20 bill anymore. I guess it has disappeared off the face of the earth. You know why? Because it wasn't counterfeit. If it was counterfeit, they would have made such a big deal out of it and ranting, oh, he had a fake $20. You know them. Once they get asphyxiated onto something, they'll be blathering about it forever. So it had to be real. There's no way they would have let that opportunity slip by. All right. Derek Chauvin, the officer who knelt on Floyd's back, that was his neck, was sentenced to 22 and a half years and 20 years in federal court. I'm sorry, federal prison, which we know he's headed towards, you know. So Lane, who was heard on body camera footage during the arrest, questioning whether they should roll Floyd over after he complained he couldn't breathe, right? So instead of talking about it, why didn't you just do it? Wow. So he was able to reach a plea deal and pled guilty to the charge of aiding and abetting second degree manslaughter. He agreed in May to serve 3 years behind bars, though federal prosecutors were seeking more than double that time. The sentence handed down by the U.S. District Court, Paul Magnuson, that was the judge, was well below 6.5 years sentence. That's what the prosecutors were requesting, but he got a much lesser sentence. So the former officers, J. Alexander King and Tu Tao, also were found guilty for violating Floyd's civil rights earlier this year, and they are expected to land more time in prison than Lane. Lane, who remains free on bond through October 4th, will face another round of sentencing on state related charges in September. Now, see, I didn't know one of them was free. I thought all three of them were still behind bars, but Thomas Lane apparently is not behind bars right now. Interesting. Interesting what they keep out of the news, isn't it? They sure didn't have this in mainstream news that one of them was released. But in my opinion, the sentence is not long enough. You're getting 30 months for the murder of George Floyd. You're getting off real easy. That's the way I see it. If it was anyone else, especially if it was a black cop, you can best believe he would be looking at probably decades or more behind bars. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the real America, and this is who she will always be forevermore. This is America. And kill a man, get 30 months in jail. 30 months, 2.5 years. And he was in jail at one point in time, and they may tack that on as time already served, right? We shall see. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.